Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is the grand finals of the ESL StarCraft 2 Masters 2023 Winter Tournament. Long story short, this is an event that's been in the making for several months. It's the grand finals of a $75,000 weekend event where, in the top left-hand corner, in game number 1 on a map called Equilibrium, we're looking at none other than Dark's main hatchery, and his opponent in the top right. Playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have none other than Clem. So basically, for the ESL Masters events, there are regional tournaments, and then all of the regions come together. This particular series, if you're watching this video on the week that it goes live, this particular series was played last Sunday as the grand finals of the offline portion of this event. And that right from the get-go, I think, is worth noting. So Dark has been absolutely incredible at offline tournaments for many, many years. He's won tons of them. He won, for example, the World Championships a couple of years ago. This man has got a ridiculous amount of experience. On the other hand, Clem has always been very good at online events. He looks like the very best Terran in the world, especially for online tournaments, but offline, he's looked a little bit more shaky. So, obviously, still a young player as well. He's been competing for much less time than Dark, and experience certainly can help out in that regard. So we'll see exactly what Clem ended up going for. Now, right from the get-go, I do want to mention as well that I do know the result of this particular match, just because, well, I follow the StarCraft 2 community very closely, and it's pretty much impossible to avoid any spoilers, but journey before destination, as always. I'm also actually doing something new for once. I've decided to cast this game while live on Twitch, which is a little weird. Like, I see the chat moving around on my second monitor. I'm not quite used to that. I'm a little afraid of putting chat on screen, though. I was thinking about putting the chat on screen, but I know for a fact that there's definitely going to be one guy, since I'm casting this from replays, who will spoil the result. So I figured I'm not gonna do that. Shout out to that one imaginary guy. Yeah, it is what it is. I did cast some games in the past live on Twitch as well, and I remember that, well, somebody spoiled the results in game number 1. I don't think anybody noticed it. I was looking at the YouTube comment section at the time when I uploaded that video. I don't think anybody really picked up on it, but it would kind of suck, right? If you don't want to, yeah, if you don't want to get spoiled. Anyhow, it's going to be a triple CC opener right here from Clem. So to clarify, I know the results for this series, but I have not seen the games. So I don't really know exactly what to expect here as far as the strategies go. That being said, Clem, of course, a big fan of playing, well, standard StarCraft 2. Standard is always a question as to what exactly it is. This is as straightforward a Terran opener that you can do against Zerg as possible. So it's triple command center, double Hellion production into a starport. If you want to make this super safe, you go for a tech lab as well. Looks like that's not going to be the case right here for Clem. He's decided to go for a, well, just another Marine here, which is a little interesting. Generally speaking, though, the Banshee follow-up, it's not mandatory. Going for a Viking into a Liberator, for example, or straight Liberator is also an option. It's technically a little risky against a Roach all-in. So one of the reasons why a lot of Terrans like to go for that Banshee blindly in every game is to make sure that they don't lose, well, against a Roach push. And that is a very quick Roach Warren, about 3.5 minutes into the game. That being said, though, Dark is making quite a few drones on the back of this, too. He's not really prepping a lot of Overlords. He did make another Gas Geyser in the main base, but I don't think he's quite setting himself up for a big attack here. That's an interesting one. So, one of the scariest attacks against this particular style that you can do as a Zerg player is a Roach Ravager Link Flood. So there are 5 Roaches coming. Is he gonna make any more after these 5? That's my question. Yeah, he is gonna add on more. Okay. It's a bit of a cursed execution, actually, from Dark. I think he could have refined this just a bit more. He ends up being at 42 drones, which is actually quite a bit. So he is gonna go for an aggressive push. And considering the fact that we don't have any Banshee play in this game, it does get a little bit scary right here for the Terran. Oh, Roaches are even sneaking around. Oh, no. This is actually really tough for Clem. Oh, he does not see the first 5 Roaches moving out. Now he sees number 6. 10 drones on the back of this, though. So this is not a Link Flood. This is just going to be a Roach pressure here by the Zerg player. And then eventually, I guess he will be droning behind it and getting that economy going. But he needs to justify this build. If this would have been a blind Banshee here for Clem, which is what he does in about 50% of his games, this would be a disaster for Mr. Dark. Luckily for him, that turns out not to be the case. Especially interesting considering we are on Equilibrium. He doesn't really need to go for a build like this on this particular map. Reaper in the meantime getting a little bit of damage done on the other side. Okay. Low HP roaches get morphed into Ravagers, at least when there's gas available. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of gas, or at least not gas he wants to waste on it. Third CC has already landed. This is not enough damage really yet for Dark. Not in love with this push, because the odds of these units going back home, they're pretty low. I think if this would have been a Link Flood on the back of it, it would have, of course, been a lot more all-in here for Dark, but there's a good chance he would have been able to win the game straight up. So if you look at the statistics for this particular map in Terran versus Zerg, it's pretty terrible for Terran. I think it's about 38% win rate last time I checked for Terran against Zerg at the tournament level. It's a bit funky. Anyhow, the follow-up right here from Dark is also an interesting one. He's gonna go for a Spire after the Roach Warren. Okay, so Roach Muta, relatively common in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Not quite something we will see very frequently in the Zerg versus Terran matchup. I would imagine this is going to be a small amount of mutas, just like 10 or so at most. And then harassment with roaches at the same time too, and then a transition towards a more conventional unit composition. But then again, this is Dark, so really anything can happen. Nothing all too crazy here though from Clem. This is of course a best of 7, so first player to win 4 maps ends up winning the entire series, and because of that, yeah, there's a little bit of wiggle room. It's interesting to me that Dark decided to go for a roach push though on this particular map, because it is something that, yeah, may scare Clem a little bit, right? It's a bit surprising for a game number 1 type of strategy when you're playing on your map pick. That's a push you can execute on any map, and I don't think well, this particular map is the best version, or the best for that particular push. Anyhow, a bunch of Cyclones now coming across the map. Marine drop at the same time as well up north. It's gonna boost those Marines straight into the main base. Double expand over here at the bottom as well, so 1 to the gold base. Roaches at this point are quite decent, but yeah, not amazing. It's gonna be able to push back those units at the bottom at least, but in the meantime, the Marines up north are getting a ton of damage done. Nice attack right here by Clem. If you could see the Spire, that would be even better for him. Looks like the Cyclones are battling it out with Roaches. Fair enough trait. Well, he's gonna try and see if he can get a scout off over here with a Hellion. Not going to happen, so the Mutas, they're unscouted for the time being. That said though, this is a Marine-based army here from Clem. So even though he's not set up for any sort of missile turrets or with any sort of missile turrets here to deal with Mutalisks, he should still be okay, assuming he can spread out his units at least a little bit. Marine drop goes back in for more. He wants to get some of these upgrades. +1 melee, by the way, is going to finish up before link speed. Which is a bit funky. I think he could have had the upgrade if he decided to target it down, but not quite the case. Only 4 or so Marines inside of the main base right now. There's more of them running up the ramp. Nice little bit of counterattack damage here. I don't like this semi-commitment to mutas, to be honest. Again, it's good against weaker Terrans. Kind of like that Roach push. But if Terran plays really well, it really shouldn't work out. And now you're kind of just sitting there with these mutas. Yeah, you can send them back in for more. You're forcing out a bunch of missile turrets, but it's a lot of resources that are caught up into these mutas, and only really a handful of SCVs going down. Losing 5 SCVs at this stage in the game, really not that big of a deal right here for the Terran. Well, I think he killed a little bit more than just a 5 here, but another command center coming up. All right, so here's the first real attack from Clem. Previously, all the pushes we've seen from him were just for a little bit of harassment. A response to what the Zerg's been going for. Oh, well, getting a siege tank picked up here for free would be really nice. Bunch of Marines also misrallied. Mutas in the meantime going to town over here, but reinforcing Marines are getting rid of all of that. This spot over here, though, is really lovely for the Terran. These siege tanks are difficult to break. There are biles available, and I think he will be targeting them, although not all of the Ravagers are in the right spot. Mutas decide to fly back home again as well. I think Dark may just have the numbers for all of this for now. Okay, he will be able to push this back. In the meantime, though, Planetary Fortress coming up over at the Golden Minerals. I like what Clem is doing with his expansion location here. A lot of Terrans like to go for this base as their 4th. Sometimes even this one over here on the right. But Clem decides to expand in the direction of his opponent. One problem you run into if you take the northern base is that Zerg can also take those other bases at the bottom of the map relatively easily, which... yeah, it just makes the game much harder to play for Terran. Right now it's, I think, much better here actually for Clem. Still though, not a bad situation here for Dark. His upgrades are a bit late, his unit composition is a bit cursed, but he's got a decent economy, decent amount of tech, and a good enough force at least to push back the Terran player for now. Clem though has finished up 2-2. Ooh, big biles. Very big biles. Ooh, yeah. Bit of a mistake right there from Clem. 2-2 at this point is done though for Clem, and he's going to be able to at least deal a bunch of damage with those Marines, assuming he doesn't walk into the biles again. More damage done right there by Dark. Really shouldn't be the case. Maybe a little bit of Grand Finals jitters coming in right here as well for the French Terran player. +1 air flyers, by the way, coming up here for Dark too, so... or air attacks. Flyer attacks? Air flyers. There you go. Together with a hive. Maybe he can go into something like, for example, Brood Lords eventually, but not the most common unit in this matchup. Alright, Siege Tank still moving forward. No Vipers or anything along those lines, of course, yet available for Dark, but what he does have is just a lot of stuff. A lot more of those medevacs are taking bile damage as well, which is not quite optimal. Yeah, not the best micro here from Clem, honestly. I mean, it's still good enough. But I think this is definitely a little bit of nervousness coming into the game. I've seen him micro against these fights, or against these armies, significantly better in the past. Either way, he does still have a very solid economy. One problem he's run into, actually, is that he did not yet start up the +3 infantry attacks. That's a big mistake. This is always a Bjorn move in my mind, generally speaking. It's Bjorn who goes for the +3 armor. There you go. Before the +3 infantry attacks. You pretty much always want to go for the attack upgrade before the armor upgrade. Usually, though, you'd like to have them in sync, so at least you don't forget about one of them, right? That's the most important thing right here for Clem. It happens all the time that you think you started up one upgrade and then you didn't, and you don't realize it until you go back to check like 3 minutes later. At least Clem caught his mistake right here. Yeah, it's maybe 45 seconds later so, but that's nothing he cannot recover from. Alright, now Dark is gonna move forward. Marine drop in the meantime at the bottom of the map as well. Does Dark have enough to just simply break through all of this? This is such a dark game, man. What a strange unit composition at this stage in the game. Ravager, Bane, Corruptor. Siege Tank in the meantime over there ends up going down to, I think, mostly Banelings. Looks like Marine Marauder Medevac is pretty good, though. Drop in the meantime at the bottom of the map also, okay, forcing the Council on that expansion. 20 drones killed here by Clem in total in this game. Dark decides to take the base up north. Yeah, one problem on this map is usually the golden minerals, right? So it's difficult for Terran to acquire and much easier for Zerg. But because of that build that Dark ended up opening up with, he finds himself in a very even game. Medevac all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, not achieving all too much. Although it is going to be forced back into the fight. Alright, APM-wise, both players pretty quick. Huh, Medevac goes down, but he gets a Corruptor for his troubles. Maybe a Queen? Yep, not bad. Medevac drop up north as well, getting quite a bit of work done. So, generally what Zergs are aiming for at this stage in the game is at least a couple of spellcasters, right? I always like to compare this sort of style to... what would Serral do? What would Raynor be doing at this stage in the game? Well, I think both of them would have at least 2 Infestors? Maybe a Viper as well in the mix? None of that is the case here for Dark. Just focusing on that very swarmy approach, and ultimately, this does not really have that long-term longevity that spellcasters tend to have. Zerg encounter over here at the bottom of the map, but it's a very small number, not really achieving that much. So, Dark not really improving his unit composition very much as far as the type of units goes, although he's getting a lot of good upgrades. Clem, in the meantime, going into the Fusion Core here to try and maybe get the Liberator ranged upgrade, the advanced ballistics here in a moment. One Medevac gets sacrificed, okay. Yeah, but still a lot of Banelings there for just a small group of Marines and Marauders. I think Clem is a-okay with all of that. Ghosts coming up as well, 3 at a time now, 4 at a time even. Armory number 2. Did we lose the Armory? Sorry, big counterattack here at the bottom. Now, we have interesting. No, the armory's right over there. He's just gonna start upgrading his mechanical units 2 at a time. Interesting decision. Command center over here at the bottom of the map does end up going down. Dark's playing this game, though, like he's got 100 drones and tons of money in the bank, but not really quite the case here. Yeah, at this point, he also drops in the supply count because of it. Greater Spire coming up here. +3/+3 is going to finish up momentarily. Nice macro game, though, to start this series. So Clem has decided to play that mass command center approach. We're currently sitting at... How many orbitals do we have? I don't even see them right now on the screen. Ay, ay, ay. Anyways, we've got a bunch of them available. He's going to add on more and more orbital commands as the game progresses. He's going to be able to replace any lost command centers relatively easily. Okay, that Widow Mine. Oh my god. Bunch of friendly fire done as well there by the Terran player, but ultimately I think Clem is okay with it. Yeah. Dark did, by the way, add on more workers. So he's now sitting at 90 drones, which makes replenishing an army that he's going for here much easier. But ultimately, it kind of seems like we're heading to a split map scenario here in game number 1. And of course, in a split map scenario, Terrans tend to trade a lot more cost efficiently. Clem is more than happy to take his entire side of the map and let the Zerg player mine out his entire side as well. Any of these trades that are cost efficient for Terran are good for the Terran. So at this point, yeah, significantly more losses here on the side of the Zerg. Wouldn't mind getting some good hits in. I do like the mix-in of those Corruptors, by the way. It's kind of fun. Yeah, they're pretty fast. They can fly away from those snipes relatively easily. Okay. Double snipe right there on the Overseers as well. Ghost army has grown at this point, though. We're now talking more ghosts than Marines in total. Terran army is looking a little small over here at the bottom of the map, though. I'm assuming, yeah, okay. There's a lot more reinforcements now marching towards the bottom. Maybe a bit of an overextension here by Clem in the end. So because of the cost efficiency, if Clem can mine out his entire right side of the map, so he would have to acquire this base up here as well as this one over here at the bottom. If he can mine out both of them, I think he's gonna be, yeah, A-okay. Obviously, Dark knows that as well. So we'll probably see him try to deny those bases to the best of his abilities. Dark at this point, though, has already mined out basically every single... Well, at least he started mining every single mineral field that he can mine in this game. It's pretty difficult in Equilibrium to... Another Widow Mine drop over here. To steal one of the bases of the opponent, you would have to, I guess, take this one. Or the one up here, but both of them not very easy to acquire, so it's likely that Dark is gonna win a split map if he can deny one of those bases, maybe 2 bases of the Terran. Nice little re-burrowing there. Okay. Yeah, Clem getting the kill on this base would actually be super good for him. Widow Mine right there, a little indecisive. He wanted to hit all the targets, ended up hitting nothing. The Widow Mine drop shenanigans does continue, though. That's actually 14 drones going down in total. 40 workers now throughout this game. Interesting to see late game Widow Mine drops, but certainly not something that's not possible, right? So, yeah, he made the second armory, and I don't think he really made use of the second armory very much. Maybe just for 1 or so upgrades. I thought for a second maybe he was going to go bio into Terran mech, which used to be quite popular like a year or so ago, where Terrans would go into Ghost Mech and try to max out on as strong a death ball as possible, but these days they're a lot more Liberator focused. Looks like we have more and more harassment all over the map. Liberators just getting damage done wherever possible. Okay, yeah, so we're really just getting the second armory here to continue upgrading the libs. It's kind of cool. Liberator harassment is actually getting kind of out of hand, though. He's killed a lot of workers over the last couple of minutes. Those Widow Mines also helping out a ton. This is not really the state in the game where... Or the stage in the game, rather, where Dark wants to be rebuilding any of those drones. Okay. It's time. Terrans, of course, refuse adding on any sort of... We know this very well, okay? They refuse adding on any sort of a Raven. A lot of the top-level Zergs have been winning games with money fungals, even when they're in a tough position like the one that Dark is finding himself in currently. And yet, we still don't see any Ravens. Push over here up north. I guess the idea for Terran is that you just pre-split your units. So even if there could be a money fungal, you're still gonna make sure that, well, it's only gonna catch a minimum amount of stuff. So far, apparently, Dark not really capable of getting a whole lot of damage done over there. Yep, Clem has taken firm control of this game right now. This is essentially becoming an all-in right here for the Zerg player, and yeah, GG is cold. Doesn't get a lot of damage done. It's Clem who wins the first game. Game number 2. I've decided to fast forward through the first 2 minutes of the game because nothing here was out of the ordinary. Standard opener here for the Terran. He's decided to lead that Reaper that's now going across the map as well with an SCV, so Clem knows exactly what he's playing against. Dark has decided to go for a fast expansion build himself as well. He's going to have 6 Zerglings available. Little bit of respect right here coming out of Dark. Dark, generally speaking, well, he likes going for 6 links, especially when he plays against, like, for example, a Maru, or say, for example, a Björn. Generally, though, when he feels like he's a little bit better than you, he seems to go for 4 Zerglings in total. Or maybe I'm reading into this a little bit too much, but it is interesting to see him go for 6 links here in total, and, well, ultimately he kills, well, he loses 2 Zerglings, rather. Clem ends up killing 2 of the links right there from his opponent. It's going to be a triple command center opener once again. Will we see a second barracks? Yeah. No. No. Thought for a second there was the second barracks right there, but that wireframe was from the barracks that just lifted up. Once again, a starport start. So in the previous game, Dark opened up with a roach attack. It's specifically very good against the build that Clem ended up going for. Well, I say very good. It's decently good. Especially with a link flood, though, I think it's very good. You can shut down that aggression much easier as a Terran player by going for a tech lab on your starport and bumping out a Banshee or 2. Banshee in general, very, very helpful against early game shenanigans from the Zerg, and I think this is overall one of the strongest builds to play, although, well, Clem decides to go for a Viking first, this time around. Terrans have gotten very greedy lately with their openers. It's actually kind of interesting. They've basically just been rushing out triple CC and then making very few units in the process. Like, we're currently talking triple command center, 4 Hellions, a Reaper, a Marine, and now very soon a Viking. That doesn't really sound like an amazing unit composition to me, but Terrans have been able to get away with it as of late, and wouldn't be surprised if Dark is going to start punishing these sort of build orders in the near future. I've seen him play a bunch of Nidus Worms as of late, so I think it was against Oliveira where he decided to rush out Nidus Worms off of 3 bases. Really no easy way for the Terran to figure out exactly what's going on. You can just straight up win as a Zerg against these types of builds. Like I said, a Roach Ravager Rush also an option. 4.5 minute lair. Baling Nest on the back of it though. Okay. I've seen Serral open up with Roaches and transition towards a Lingbane Viper into like Hydra Lurker in the end. It's kind of interesting. Doesn't seem like any of the other top level Zergs are too big of a fan of it right now. So this is going to be straight into the Baling Speed upgrade. In the meantime though, everything is pretty normal here on the side of the Terran. Added on additional barracks at this point too. We're gonna go for another reactor. We'll probably be doing the big switcheroo here in a moment to start pumping out those Marines. At least 5 at a time. Okay, so. Liberator. Gonna try and deal a bit of damage. Brenda's big toe right there was stuck in the little circle, but not achieving too much. In the meantime, we do have a run-by over here. Ay-yi-yi. Okay. Clem found the loving embrace of 10 drones. Well, now he's getting greedy. Yeah, no, I don't know what we're doing here. It's like, but what if I get 11? Right, I think I preferred killing 10 drones and losing like 1 Hellion to killing 11 and losing 7, maybe 8. Yeah, I think that would have been a little bit better. Honestly, killing all these Hellions pretty much justifies... okay, it pretty much justifies losing those drones. I mean, not quite. Oh, revenge right here for Lenny the Ling. You love to see it. No Zergling is left behind. Yeah, losing 8 Hellions in total together with the Reaper is actually kind of pricey. Plus, apparently that Liberator also ended up going down. So... this is one of those scenarios where as a Terran, you're like, I did so well, I killed all the drones! This is where I see it go wrong for many ladder heroes, okay? This is where I see a lot of salty Reddit threads and forum posts and whatnot about Zerg being overpowered. It turns out killing 11 drones at the cost of literally all your units is not usually justifiable. Anyhow. This is where Clem is going to start piling on the pressure. Baneling speed is going to finish up in about 10 seconds from now. Oh, okay. Really? What in the world was that? That is such a funny thing, right? So you're very used to the normal time at which those upgrades finish up. And I don't know if Dark made a mistake there, that he was waiting until that upgrade would finish, or if he just had it mistimed in his head. But he managed to catch Clem off guard there with slow Banelings, just ever so slightly, literally seconds before the roly-poly upgrade finished up. Good chance though that Clem is very in sync with the regular timing of it, and that he just didn't expect Banelings to roll towards his third base at that point in time. Well, can't really get a lot more kills than 15 SCVs with only 4 slow Banelings. Now we are, by the way, rushing out spellcasters. One medevac drop going towards the bottom of the map. Fungal growth? No, not gonna be a necessity. Okay. So this is the Clem style that we see him succeed with very frequently. So he's a big fan. I feel like he's actually matured quite a bit as a player over the last maybe year or so. This is the style that he used to win with pretty much all the time, right? But whenever he had to play defensively, that's where he fell short. He's very good at this tempo-based style where it snowballs out of control. He deals a bit of damage here, a bit of damage there, and then ultimately his army is much bigger. He's sort of getting that going right now. Not super cleanly yet, but you can see it's starting to hinder Dark quite a bit. Dark is now sitting at over, well, 1,500 resources here in total. That is costly. And while I don't think this is quite perfect here for Clem... oh. Yeah, you can see that he's a little out of it. It's still fine. It's just not quite as clean as we like to see it. Maybe some of those nerfs coming in as well for Dark, though, because he was stacking up a lot of money. Although it's something that we see from Dark in about 50% of his games. Another hatchery coming up. All the way at the bottom, all the way on the left. Fungal growth makes it difficult to get on out of there. Alright. It's like somebody else took over the keyboard, though, because in the previous game, it's like he refused playing spellcasters until the very end, and now he's rushing out spellcasters. So we have the Queens, the Vipers, and the Infestors already hitting the battlefield pre-10 minutes. The double-pronged harassment, though, is starting up here for Clem. I don't see another Infestor over here at the bottom of the map. Oh, that's because it's over there! Big fungal growth once again. Looks like there's enough right here for those Marines. Oh my god! That Widow Mine, bro! Sorry, I gotta go back. That guy just killed a Terran army. Look at his lad. Killed a medevac, a couple Marines, and sure, a few Zerglings as well. What a jerk. Oh, he's retargeting. Oh my god, sick! He retargeted manually right there with the Widow Mines on top of the Viper. Overlords here at the bottom of the map in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, and Clem is actually making quite a bit of headway here. Ultra upgrades getting queued up. Always an interesting one. Any upgrade getting queued up in StarCraft 2 is usually quite questionable, to say the least. Ooh, those Widow Mines that were responsible for killing that Viper. Can we get the fungal? Anyways, they ended up getting picked off. I don't think we have enough energy. No, just barely not enough energy right there. So all of this is going to lead into a big attack. +2/+2 is now pretty much done right here for Clem. That's usually where Terrans get really scary. Dark has decided that he can't take that army head on, so he's going for a full counterattack. He's essentially giving up on these bases on the left side of the map, thinking he can outrun the Terran, and he may just be onto something. 21 of those SCVs go down. Push over here as well, slowed down, I guess, by, well, the Zerg reinforcements, the fungal growth as well. Nicely done right there by Dark, creating so much chaos that it's difficult for Clem to keep track of exactly what's going on here. Very good move right there by Dark. Yeah, he's like, yo, I can't take on this army. Guess what I'll do? I'll just send everything across. Queens with transfusion energy as well. Very helpful, even if it's only one Ultralisk. Adrenal Glands at this point is done, so those Zerglings essentially have permanent Stimpak. Although the Planetary Fortress can make short work of them. Very nice exchange right there, though, for Dark. Okay. So now suddenly, Clem is finding himself with, well, 4 command centers, but a relatively small economy for this phase in the game. He does have 2 more CCs over here that aren't quite mining yet, so I guess he's got a little bit more than just 4, but his economy is really nothing to write home about, and it's not like he's really set up comfortably here to transition towards a late-game army either. So he's kind of trying to sprinkle in a couple ghosts, but this isn't quite that rigid Terran position that we very commonly see. Cheeky little Zergling over here burrowed as well. Somehow, some way, the command center cannot land. One of the top 10 things that science can't explain. Okay. +3 infantry. Yeah, he's decided to choose to not get the second armor upgrade, or the third armor upgrade rather, the second upgrade here in general. Mostly because he needed to spend some of his cash on adding on additional units instead, so I don't mind it in this particular game, but you prefer not being forced into this position in the first place. Dark likewise though, only using a single evolution chamber to upgrade his units. Would not mind seeing the +3 attack upgrade, especially for the melee units, but instead we're gonna smash our piggy bank right here to go into a Spire. Okay. Few banelings, trying to be as annoying as possible. This time around though, even though they do roll, they're not getting a whole lot done. This push over here is also spotted from a mile away, plus... okay, just barely out of range. Yeah, there's some Widow Mines set up. Really Dark. We're just gonna roll in. Yeah, I'm not in love with this attack. Yeah, gets a surprising amount of work done, to be honest. Even though Clem saw that coming in from a mile away, he was probably also assuming that those units were gonna back up. Now it's an uphill battle, though, here for the Terran player. Nope. It's not blocked. A little awkward right here for that Zergling. He thought he was helping out. Yeah, now he's angry. Look how much damage he deals, though. It's kind of funny. One pesky little Zergling getting a ton of work done. Okay, so Clem is trying to stabilize. He recognizes that he needs another base. No missile turrets, no ravens, or anything along those lines. Again, one fungal growth, man. When do you guys think we will see ravens being mixed in the default Terran late game army comp? Because I've seen so many Terrans lose games because they get their army randomly fungled. The biggest argument that I've heard from Terrans as to why they don't mix it in is because they're afraid of the infestor neural parasiting the Raven and then throwing an anti-armor missile on the Terran army instead. Technically possible, I guess, but it's gonna be very difficult for Zergs if there is a Raven in the mix to get that done in the first place. I really feel like it's a no-brainer, but anyways, big Zergling counterattack here once again. Well, big Marine counterattack over here as well. Well, actually, not even that many Marines, mostly ghosts. Problem here is, yeah, that the Terran's natural and the main base are getting absolutely overwhelmed. That being said, though, there's a larva problem right here for Dark. Dark actually has a lot of money in the bank, but he can't actually reinforce. Oh, no. He doesn't really want to make too many ultras against this ghost-based army. He is currently overwhelming the Terran's main base, though, so Clem is going to start stacking up quite a few resources, too. Would not mind seeing him fly some of these structures away. Contamination right there from the Overseer. Marines dealing a lot of damage. Yeah, Dark has a ton of money in the bank, but no larva. So he can't actually easily clean this up. Mailing Nest at this point is gone. No reaction right there from the Terran. Ooh, okay. Just barely okay. I think Dark will still be able to win this. Very close game. But I think he should be able to bring this one home. 4 Corruptors are coming up as well, and those Corruptors are going to be really good at clearing out those randomly positioned units. The only base that, yeah, at this point really is available as Clem starts up on another command center? Really? Okay. Is that expansion up north? These other bases are relatively easy for the Zerg player to take down. Okay, this command center is also burning. Dark does know about that base, right? Yeah, he had seen it as soon as it flew over there. Yeah, he's just going after whatever he can. GG is cold, and Dark wins game number 2. Alrighty, game number 3. Standard openers, once again, it looks like, by both players. Although Dark, I say that, no, this is not a standard opener. Dark is opening up triple hatch before a gas. Okay, Dark. Let me flip the scoreboard right there. It was backwards. A gasless opener by the Zerg. So what's the point? Because, yeah, you get your 3rd hatchery up sooner, sure. I guess in theory your economy should be bigger, sure. Is it actually better? Well, Clem is going to scout it right now. He will see the timing, and he will notice that that hatchery is nearly done. That will give him all of the information that he really needs. In the meantime, another SCV has gone all the way up to the northern section. Okay, we're going to be proxying the starport. So Clem was already planning on doing that. I think it only becomes stronger with this particular decision. With this particular decision right here from Dark to open up gasless. So there's a good chance that Dark will be taking multiple gases all at the same time, but he's not going to have link speed, he's not going to have roaches, he's not going to have anything other than just a bunch of queens and slow links. I think a Hellion drop, or even just a Liberator proxy, could be really strong. Ooh, gets the kill on the Creep Tumor too. Oh, we're going Cyclones. Are we going to add on like an armory as well? Like what exactly is the plan here? So this is a Roach Warren before gas. Yeah, okay, so now he takes a bunch of gases at the same time. So 2 gas here, taken at about 3.5 minutes. I'm not in love with this opener, but you can see it reflected right here in the worker count at this point. For Dark, he's at 40 workers already. That is a lot. Liberator, by the way, in the main base, very soon. So this is not super committed by Clem. Just putting on some dedicated pressure. Cyclones, though, are going to be really handy. 6 Overlords start up right here for Dark. So Dark actually panicking a little bit. Yeah, Dark consistently does this where he's just going for build orders that make the game, in my mind, unnecessarily difficult. But he's also very successful, so it is what it is, I guess. It just seems like this makes the game so much harder than it needs to be. Yeah, so what do you do now? Queens have to go into the main base to deal with the Liberator, but there's no other units available to deal with the Cyclones and the Hellions. We don't have link speed, so you can't even threaten a wraparound, so Clem can dance here to his heart's content. You know, there's many things you can say about pro gamers, but they're all amazing dancers. I don't know, actually. I have been to the club at several occasions with StarCraft pro gamers. The club in Krefeld, most notably. They're all amazing dancers, absolutely, yeah. They can dance as well as I can. I can't dance. No, it's just, no dancing. The only dancing I do is after one too many drinks. And I'll jump up and down. But anyways, Clem can dance really nicely here with the Cyclones and the Hellions, and he's getting a lot of work done. Yeah, so I guess it's okay though. All of these losses on the side of the Zerg, I guess it's all alright because of that big economy that he's got on the back of it. And this can actually turn into a bit of a misread here for Clem, because Clem is obviously taking mental note of the amount of damage that he's done here. He's like, oh yeah, okay, +1/+1 roach speed attack, not really possible anymore. I'm probably like forcing my opponent to open up quick hive or something along those lines. That's usually where Roach or Ravager openers go anyways. So he may look at this game and think, okay, I'm very far ahead at this point. But is he really? In a way, the gasless triple hatch opener, I guess it's like throwing a bit of a curveball at your opponent, because this is a bit wild. Obviously, Clem does not have perfect information at this point. He doesn't know everything that we see, but if I was in his shoes right now and I had lost, well, one Cyclone and a Liberator here, the other units are basically irrelevant for all of that, I'd feel pretty good about myself. But then you look at the supply count, you look at the amount of drones that Dark still has, it's really not that bad for him at all. So we're only going Roaches. We're only going Roaches for a little while, because he's going melee upgrade into link speed. We've seen a lot of games lately where +1 melee is started up before link speed. It's a bit funky. I kind of feel like that's one of those changes that Zerg players make just for the sake of making changes, you know, to try and distract the opponent a little bit, because I don't think it's theoretically that great. Oh, we're going Roach speed as well. So even though we're making melee upgrades, we're also still making a whole bunch of Roaches. Okay. Anyhow, it's time for Clem to do a bit of a push across the map. He's just started up his 4th command center, 2nd factory. Do we have an armory? We do. I would love to see the 2-2 start up. But this is all very normal. I kind of feel like I'm discussing Dark strategies a lot here, but discussing with myself. I kind of feel like I'm talking a lot about Dark strategies, but that's mostly because Dark strategies are a little funky here. And Clem is just doing the most stock standard Terran style possible. Not really mixing it up. I mean, obviously he went for Cyclones in this game, but I think that was a response to seeing the opponent's 3rd base timing. His mid game, the way he's getting there is all pretty normal. 2-2 starts up. Drilling Claws coming up as well, so he is going to counter a Ling Bane based army. But it's still going to be a fast hive here as well for Dark. 2 Infestors as well. So usually Roach Ravager based armies warrant like a fast hive like in this game. Although this is, I guess, a little bit later than like your standard Roach Ravager hive timing. But for a Ling Bane start, this does feel very quick. Very strange way to play overall. I think Clem actually has a pretty good shot at dealing a substantial amount of damage here. Yeah, because of all of these corners that Dark is cutting, his current fighting army is really not that strong. Ooh, okay, gets the Infestor as well. We don't have the Baneling speed upgrade yet. Yeah, he's got the numbers, so he might just be okay here in the end, especially if it can lend the fungal growth, but there are certainly vulnerabilities here. Now, in a couple minutes from now, Dark is going to have all of the stuff that he needs. But currently, there's definitely some potential for the Terran to harass. But what do you think at this point as a Terran, right? Like, you've seen all of this, you've seen the timing of the hive. This is not quite your ordinary style of Zerg you're playing against, so you can kind of see that Clem has decided to take his foot off the gas a little bit and play this slightly slower. And this is kind of where I feel like Clem was historically not quite as strong, but where he's improved a lot as a player over the last year or so. Taking the game much slower, taking his time, playing a little bit more defensively as well. Okay. That's a lot of siege tanks. Yeah, clumped up all together. Alright, there's one more tank in the back. Apparently that guy gets to live, but the other dudes that decided to hug together right there, they can't. Viper's coming up here. Nidus Worm. Really? So the Hive timing, the Viper timing, the Nidus Worm timing all kind of remind me of a Lurker play. But we have no Lurkers. So instead, I guess we're gonna just drop a bunch of Zerglings in the main base? Okay. I don't think it's gonna be super successful, but we'll see. Marine Mine Medevac push. Ooh, okay, hello. Okay. Mistakes made right here by Clem. So in the meantime, also dealing some damage here on the other side of the map, but quite a few free Terran units right there gifted to the Zerg. 5th command center. No, I was gonna say 6th command center. That would be pretty late for a 5th base, but turns out it's not. It is an interesting timing on that command center though, because he's adding on an additional CC before he's really capable of maxing out here and before he's really secured that expansion at the bottom. So Clem's got to be careful that he does not get carried away building up all of this infrastructure here, because yeah, Dark is ready to start striking back. Zerglings indeed are going into the Night as Worm. Looks like they won't be able to achieve too much. Push over here up north though. I think it is also going to shut down, but it is going to indeed cancel that hatch. Barra bombs. I think that's 2 dead medevacs. Okay. Yeah, this is Dark's moment to start dealing some damage on the other side. So this expansion is now done. That's actually quite sweet. One problem you run into, I guess, here as the Zerg player is that pushing on Golden Aura is actually very tough. Like, how in the world do you engage this base? Do you go around the rocks? Not really. Do you go from the north? Not really. This expansion down here at the bottom, likewise, also not easy to push into. Yeah, you're essentially forced to play a bit of a macro game here as the Zerg player, because trying to get rid of these Terran bases is nearly impossible. So even though I currently like this position here for Dark, I'm not sure what he can do about it. His best move is probably to try and contain the Terran on 4 bases, or sorry, 5 bases here at most, and then never allow a 6th. But that's not going to be easily done either. Yep, great movement right here by Clem, really playing the map's layout. Yeah, insane Widowmine control here overall. Just really nice micro here by both players. Yeah, so I think Dark's original plan was maybe to try and push a little bit earlier. But now I realize, wait a second, my opponent is locked in tightly everywhere. So what in the world am I going to be able to do? How in the world am I going to be able to push? Second starport coming up. We have the fusion core now also building already. Additional command centers. So Clem, once again, gonna play the big macro game. We're gonna also do these like late game Widowmine drops. Yeah, these are super strong. That was a relatively small amount of workers going down, but Widowmine drops in the late game, not very popular, but overall very strong. Like when you see players executing them, it's almost like one of those moments where you're like, huh, this is kind of a no-brainer. Why was I not doing this before? Well, I guess it's an APM limitation, but it's very strong when you do have a little bit of money. And a little bit of spare APM. Okay. Push over here though, yeah, overextension right here from Clem. I was gonna say, he's getting a little over eager. That gold base is very far away, so nice catch right there by Dark. Getting a lot of work done. Dark once again making use of that Zerg mobility, right? So, game number 1 on Equilibrium was kind of a good example of a map where a split map is kind of difficult for the Zerg to manage. Right now, Dark is essentially taking, well, at least one of the bases that should have been the Terrans. So rather than playing a big macro game, he's decided to, or rather than like denying one of these bases rather from the Terran, he's decided to play a macro game by taking one of the bases that normally would be considered to be for the opponent. That said though, he currently doesn't have the worker count to send the drones on over here yet. He doesn't even have this base saturated, so maybe a bit over eager. Maybe it's just a placeholder, you know? This is the lorem ipsum dollar sit met right here for Zerg expansions. Alright. Liberator range. Ghost Liberator mine. 3rd starport. It's gonna be a lot of Liberators. 2nd armory coming up in the main base. So we're gonna start upgrading those Liberators heavily as well. It's a super dead Ultralisk. So I actually kind of like that Clem is not necessarily feeling rushed here. Like, I feel like a lot of Terrans, when they find out the amount of bases here that Zerg has, would be very concerned about the expansions. But I think Clem is saying, yo, I don't really need this base. I also know that you don't have the worker count to take the base all the way in the top right, so I actually don't need to rush this. He doesn't even know about that expansion at the moment. Okay. Expensive attack right here from Dark, though. 17 SCVs, planetary goes down, but yeah, at the cost of a base up north. And at this point, Clem will have about 17 command centers ready to take the place of that one lost planetary. The new Caduceus reactor upgrade coming up as well. This was added with the most recent balance patch. It doubles the energy regeneration of the Medivacs. Big drop in the main base right now. One random Cyclone. Please don't tell me that's the Cyclone from the early game. I think he must have made another one on accident. Anyways, Corruptors once again coming up. Biles. We'll get rid of that one Liberator. Push over here in the middle of the map as well. I think Clem doesn't realize that that base in the top right is even taken, but I guess it's irrelevant. It doesn't really do anything at the moment. But just being aware of it might be nice. Drones, by the way, in the bottom left have been denied for some time as well. I think that must have been that Widowmine drop from earlier. Yeah, Liberators now showing up. Couple Corruptors immediately, right after popping out of their cocoon, get rerouted to harassing these Liberators that were harassing the Zerg overall. And what seemed like a really good situation from Dark, it's starting to slip out of his hands a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still in a good spot. He has a lot of money in the bank. He can make whatever army he likes. But what army do you make here as a Zerg? There is not one go-to force anymore that you can use to basically counter any Terran late-game army. There's no 2023 Brute Lord Infestor equivalent. You have to be doing tech switches. You have to be switching up your unit comps. You have to outmine the Terran. All right. So, apparently it's time to put down our foot. Now, on this map, I'm not a huge fan of this particular choke point, but you know what? There might not be enough here for the Terran to really hold on. Dark has got a ton of minerals in the bank, so he can easily remax. And you know what? This push actually is working out pretty well for him. Widowmines apparently just killing as many drones as possible, but tons of SCVs have gone down as well. And Dark has managed to break this position. Again, though, he needs more larvae. Yeah, he's still at 5,200 minerals in the bank, but he needs to be careful that he does not run out of larvae, because that's one of the resources that we don't see here at the bottom of the screen, but Linkbane Ultra, very larva heavy. Couple of snipies. But that's okay. Okay. Clem. Yeah, now he found out about that base. He tried landing a command center on top of a hatchery. Would have been nice, I guess, for Terrans if that was possible. Okay, instead we're just gonna land it over here. Somehow, some way, those Zerglings decided to pass by it. Kind of an interesting spot. Army here in the bottom left, though, getting pushed back for now, it looks like. Okay. How many command centers are we on currently? Quite a few. Yeah, he actually has 6 orbital commands here. Another CC coming as well. Okay, big attack once again. Widowmine gets a pretty decent hit in. Zergling split off from the rest of the pack, though, getting a bunch of damage done. Liberators here with, well, parasitic bombs and Corruptors going to town as well. Clem decides to back off to the safety right there of his walls, but he was indeed pushed away very far. Very even game, though. I think I still prefer this for Dark, but only by a very small margin. Yeah, there's no lurker army here, or really like a proper, efficient late-game force. Does he have a greater spire? No, he does not have a greater spire either, so... yeah, this is it. Like, this army is not gonna get any better unless he decides to add on any additional tech, and... no banelings here. Not at the front of this army anyways, only a handful of banelings here do come through eventually, but through that choke point, excellent movement there by Clem once again. Man, this map is so hard to attack into. Base in the top right, by the way, ended up getting sniped. Base in the bottom left, I mean... there's been some mining here. I feel like this expansion for Dark has been up for like 10 minutes, but most of these mineral fields seem barely touched. Insane harassment by Clem. Okay. These Zerglings have been tasked to stop a planetary fortress, but honestly, this was one of the Zerg bases for a long time, and yeah. If Clem can mine out this entire base, he will once again have that cost efficiency going in his favor. He is slowly taking the entire map that he needs to take. And right now his resource count is starting to grow. So this entire time, 21 minutes, he's been mostly broke. But apparently he's now satisfied with the amount of command centers that he's got. He's got a decent amount of workers. He can even start giving away some of them. And now he can really start stacking up a ton of cash. Yeah, Dark looking for an angle here, but he can't find it. All of these bases are difficult to harass. I wonder if it would have been better for him to attack over in this expansion rather than this. Because these rocks have been incredibly handy for the Terran. Yep, Dark thinking the same thing right now. He decides to go for a move over here. Oh, good start right there for that engagement, though. Oh, that Widow Mine also fired even after death. And every time Dark makes a move, you hear the pew 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 pews going down right there from the ghosts. And the from the scans. That's basically Terran late game. Well, we need to have a right over... There we go. I was gonna say, he doesn't know about this army moving forward. The entire Terran force is currently in the top right. Okay. SCVs are ready to make missile turrets, apparently. Parasitic bombs over here, dealing a ton of damage. Yeah, look at the amount of choke points that he's creating, though, for himself. It's kind of absurd. Okay, now this is a lot of expensive losses, though, on the side of the Terran. How many barracks are we on? We're on 8. That's the norm. I guess with, yeah, this many starports and factories and all that, you can replenish pretty quickly. Okay. Yep, so Clem has now taken 50% of the bases on the map. If you look at the cost efficiency throughout this game, I mean, it's not been amazing. It's not been amazing for Terran. But it's been good enough. Dark finally gets to mine this base over here at the bottom of the map. This is when you know a Terran is feeling comfortable. Building armor and high-spec auto-tracking. Probably should have been researched some time ago, to be honest. Really does help out. But yeah, that's the... I'm rich and I don't know what to spend my money on, so I'm getting a third car for no apparent reason, you know? Pretty nice. Couple changelings over here pretending to be part of the Terran squad. Like, oh, we're scouting a base. Wait a second, it's ours. Okay. Yeah, so... This is a tough map here for Dark. It's just difficult for him to find an angle in which he can comfortably fight. And he's been making the best of a tough scenario. But right now the man is broke. He really needs to fire up these gases, by the way. Like, he's broke as far as the gas income goes. He's got 6,000 minerals in the bank, but minerals alone are not gonna cut it. Oh, instant EMP. That EMP was so quick. Sorry, I'm gonna go and look at Clem's vision. I'm gonna back up. This is Clem's vision right over here. He like insta-EMP'd those infestors. I don't think he saw them, did he? So this is what Clem was looking at while he was playing this game. Adding on more command centers, because why not? Liberator getting queued up over here. Ah, he sees them over there. Okay. It's so quick. You need to have your ghost in range, obviously, there as well. Okay. Gonna take control of the camera again. Lovely work right there by Clement. A lot of Zerglings here going down. Yeah, Vikings here. Ooh, they have to split up. A lot of damage. Great split. A lot of damage being done right there by the Parable. I sometimes kind of feel like Terrans get carried away, though, with the amount of command centers that they're making. Like, come on. What are these two going to add that he didn't already have? Like, we can mine out this base within, like, 5 minutes. Like, if he decides to drop a round of mules. I don't think he really needs 2 additional command centers, because he's got so many already, but... I guess the Sim City there, of having those structures in that position is really nice. And... yeah, More choke points makes it easier for him to snipe any units that get funneled through it. We will one day see a game, though, where Terrans run out of minerals because they've mined out so many. And they've just not got any money available anymore. Like, they will have 12 command centers ready with full energy, but no mineral fields to mine anymore. That hasn't really happened very much, but it is interesting. Oh, it's a planetary fortress in the choke. Yeah, so Clem is 100% aiming just to mine out his side of the map, harass his opponent, and lean into that Terran cost efficiency. There's a lot of scans available here. Okay. Honestly, I think at this point you can pretty much... No, stop it. Stop it. I guess he's got 6,000 minerals. It's fine. He can afford it. Do you really need a 4th car, Clem? How many cars does a man really need? Ooh, okay. Well, that's a lot of nice biles there going down as well. Good fight here from Dark, all things considered, but I'm not so impressed by his unit composition anymore. He kills one of the command centers. He may very well get another one to burn down. Zerglings are streaming in. But this very dominant game from Dark overall is starting to fizzle out. Yeah, these engagements are just not good enough for him. Zerglings starting to break through into the main base, but not achieving that much, and GG is called. Clem wins game number 3. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Heartland. Alright, let's see. Very impressed so far with the way that Clem is doing this. So Clem used to be known for doing that tempo-based play and being incredible at micro, and he's still very good at both of those things. But it looks to me like he's, prepared a lot more defensive strategies over the course of the last half year or so, and he's gotten substantially better at them. To the point where, well, he's the #1 Terran in the world. He recently managed to overtake. Okay, well, that's a mistake. Oh my god, what? 1 health, no problem. How in the world did that thing not die? Okay, anyways, he managed to overtake Maru relatively recently on a Liga leg for that #1 Terran position. Is Clem better than Maru? I'll leave that for you guys to decide, okay? I don't want to upset the Church of Terran. I know there's a lot of very aggressive Maru followers. We don't want to upset them. A couple Zerglings on the other side of the map. I guess they're waiting for Link Speed to finish up, but Link Speed will finish up right as basically these Hellions pop. Look, are you saying Clem is better than Maru? Absolutely, yes. Let me put it like this. I have been a lot more impressed by Clem's gameplay over the last half year than I have been by Maru's. Is Clem better than Maru? Historically, obviously, they don't quite have the same results. But I do think that Clem has been better as of late. That's also because Maru has not been quite as dominant, though. Like, there was a time in StarCraft 2's history where Maru was basically not losing any games. He was far and away the best player in Korea, but I'm not quite sure if that's currently the case. It's always difficult, though. It may just be that Clem is like, you know, the newer generation. I don't know exactly how old Maru is. I think Maru is like 27 or something, you know? He's basically ancient. But there's no denying that there's a lot of players out there that are getting dangerously good, and they're all like early 20s. I don't actually know exactly how old Clem is at this point. I remember watching Clem years and years and years ago. I think the first time I saw him play was at an event called the WESG Barcelona or something like that. And he was just a kid. He's 21 right now? Okay, yeah. So I feel like I've seen Clem compete for like 6 years at this point. I think it's probably 6 or 7 years. Like, he was literally just a child at the time. And yeah, even though I've seen these guys compete for a long time, many of them are still very young. He's only 21? That's kind of insane, actually. Anyhow, Roach Warren here for Mr. Dark. Going for a lair as well, so playing that more defensive style. Maru fanboys are the StarCraft 2 Swifties. Yeah, you don't mess around with Swifties, okay? They get very angry. If there's ever gonna be like a movie about Clem, they'll be singing in the concert for sure, man. They'll be singing in the cinema. Very dangerous. Just like a 90-minute long highlight reel of Clem's very best plays. Look, you take that back, we're not all crazy? Sure. Sure. Well, I'll be, I was gonna say Clemmy, but that sounds a bit weird. We need to have a name, okay? We need to have a name for the Terran fanboys. Yeah. +1/+1. Roach speed. Extra upgrades here coming up as well for Terran. Liberator, ready to harass a little bit more here in just a moment. The T-boys? I don't know about T-boys. Ooh, wow, that was quick. Turns out if you fire a Liberator and the Zerg morphs in a Spore Crawler just barely in time, you can save the drone? Interesting. Just be faster, guys. This is honestly the solution to many StarCraft problems. When you're struggling in the game, just do the same thing better. Just, those mistakes you're making, don't make them. Just do better instead. Yeah, it's not that hard. Ooh, really, Clem? Clem sometimes does these moves lately, man. And look at Dark, he makes 9 Overlords at once. I don't know if that's due to those crazy Hellion drives, but he just starts driving onto creep, moves to the high ground, goes back. That's not a mistake. I think he does it on purpose. I'm gonna make the assumption anyways that he's doing it on purpose, because I've seen him do it a bunch, and Zergs pretty much always panic and make a big round of drone, or a big round of units when they may have been wanting to make drones instead. I think Dark has basically decided that he just wants to go for a mass Roach Ravager push here. Now, Roach speed is done. 1-1 is going to finish momentarily. We don't have drones for the 4th. Just using this base to generate larva. This is the oldest Zerg build order in the book. This is not the moment for Clem to move out. If he decides to move out right now, he's in a world of trouble. How many siege tanks do we have? 5. Okay, I was gonna say, I just looked at this base and I didn't see any, but there's a bunch of them sprinkled around the bases. Did you just go all the way around, Mr. Siege Tank? Alright. So Dark's still just making units. He's not adding on any tech. He's not adding on any drones. It's just roaches. So this honestly feels very desperate to me, but here we go. Dark decides to come in from as many angles as possible. Well, gets rid of one of those siege tanks relatively quickly. Second siege tank goes down as well, but does Clem have enough bio left over to really fight this? He dodges the corrosive biles over there, dodges those ones as well. Medevacs have already activated their boost. This is a fantastic push in Diamond League. I don't love it against Clem. Yeah, it's just one of those moments where the highest ranked Terrans in the world, I mean, they don't play against this very often because it's not considered a very good strat. They just have too good a macro, you know, to really lose against just a 1-1 Roach attack. Well, it's not over yet. This is a 4 Command Center Terran, by the way. Imagine if this would have been an 8 Rex on triple CC here from Clem. He would have just overwhelmed that army. So now what? What do we do now, Dark? Okay, we go into 2-2. Round of drones for the 4th. Fair enough. He also transferred some workers, by the way. I think he only made like 10 additional workers. Now Clem is going to be finishing up the 2-2 research. Planetary Fortress here. Coming up over at the 4th base. And this is going exactly the way Clem had it anticipated. Okay. Push into the main base. Roaches are really slow compared to Zerglings. There's no Banelings in the mix. Oh, getting this hatchery would be amazing. In the meantime, the Roach Ravager squad is moved towards the other side of the map, baiting out the corrosive biles, backing off. Lair falls in the main base. Excellent movement here by Clem. The only thing I don't like is that siege tank rolling around here. Can we please siege it up? Yeah. He's now making 2 siege tanks at once, by the way. So a second tech lab on the second factory. Lovely stuff. Yeah, Dark is maxed out, but he's been maxed out with this exact same unit composition before, and it didn't go well then. Now Terran has got a bigger army and is better upgraded. I guess soon he will finish up the 2-2 research, but Dark's main goal at this point is that the Terran player messes up. And that can happen, don't get me wrong. It's certainly possible that Terran doesn't pay attention and gets a bunch of balls to the face. But in general, at this level of play, I think relying on your opponent to make a mistake is not a very strong style to play. Thing is, Dark set himself up for this, so now he doesn't really have a choice. Not even an Overlord over here goes down, though. So that's nicely done. Yeah, we don't have a hive, no Baneling Nest. So this is do or die at this point for Dark. Terran's fired up to +3 infantry. Okay. How many tanks over yet? 8 in total. Yeah, he just can't move in, man. Beautiful positioning here from Clem. I thought maybe it's a little too aggressive. Because he doesn't need to be this far out, but he wants to fight in the choke points as much as possible, because those Ravagers are just so clumsy and so big. A lot of corrosive bowels right there, overkilling that siege tank as well. Dark backs up. He keeps most of his Ravagers alive. So that's nice, but... what do we do now? More of the same. Okay, it didn't work the first 2 times. So what about attempt number 64? Yeah, no, I think this is gonna fall flat on its face over the next couple minutes. Like, Dark is making the best of this, but there's just no longevity in this plan. Clem is now on 5 command center. He started up a 6th base. He's going into ghosts. This game is over when 3-3 finishes. Unless Dark manages to change the tide here in the next couple minutes. He needs to, yeah, he needs to get something going. So there's the... he obviously lost the lair. I forgot about that. I thought for a second that was the hive, but that's the lair. Oh, God. Can we at least make a Baneling Nest or something like that? I don't know. I would imagine Baneling speed is really your only option. Maybe getting an Infestor or 2 out for fungal growth, but... now, obviously, this is the grand finals of a premier StarCraft 2 tournament, and... Clem has got a lot of time to consider that, because this game is cruising for him right now. That may also be precisely the moment where he starts messing up, you know? Because I would start getting very nervous when I realize I'm very close to winning a big tournament. It's a best of 7. This one game is not quite enough, but it is one step in that direction. Couple balls right there connecting with the army. Dark is starting to break through. Counterattack right here from Clem. Rather than fighting this army at home, he believes that his reinforcing Terran units can just stop this massive Zerg attack. Honestly, a little bit too risky, but he's dealing so much damage on the other side of the map. Even if all of this is lost, he can still fly his unit-producing structures away, and he's still got, well, so much economy, right? Does Dark even know about that base in the center? No, he hasn't seen about that base. Clem wins with relative ease game number 4. Oceanborn, game number 5. Match point right here for Clem. Look at Clem. He's feeling it right now. Oh, I hate this so much as a Zerg when this happens in my games. Because you know that Reaper's coming. Yep. This sucks for Dark so badly, man. Make an engineering bay, just to rub salt in the wound. It's not worth it, but still. Do it anyways. Oh, don't lose the SCV though. Yeah, don't lose the SCV. We're playing Ring Around the Rosie with the drone. That was really, really nicely done. One problem you run into is that when an SCV is hugging the gas like that, you can't actually morph in an extractor. Oh, well, at least looks like, yeah, Jimmy here ends up getting sniped. Revenge, though. Sad days right here. So wait, what was that copy-paste that I saw? Many people have wondered about the origins of Sero and Clem rivalry. It all goes back to the Texas State Barbecue Championships, which both Cyril and Clem were participating in. Cyril made some disparaging remarks about Clem's famous brisket seasoning, and their relationship has been strained ever since. I know a lot of people don't like copy-pastas, but I'll be honest with you, I do enjoy them quite a bit whenever there's a StarCraft tournament going on and you have just really stupid stuff like that going on. For those of you unfamiliar, this has been going on for many, many years, that for some reason the American fans pretend that the best players in the world are from America. I remember Stefano was from Texas. Cyril has been from Texas. I think Clem's from Florida, no? Sorry, I didn't mean to say pretend. I apologize. Bolt? I think it's from Bolt, actually, yeah. The South Korean player Bolt literally had a nickname all these years ago called Captain America. Because I think he studied in America or something. I don't know exactly. So he like went to a university in America and he literally was nicknamed Captain, but he was Korean. Yeah, he moved to the USA. I think that's probably the origins as to why every player that's ever been good at the game is now quote-unquote American. It's pretty great. Anyhow, interesting little bit of harassment right here in the earlier stages of the game from Clem. You can see that the man is starting to feel pretty good about it all. But ultimately, all the roads, they lead towards Marines with Stimpack. Oh, okay. Well, that grenade was unnecessary, but extra style points right there for Clem. You love to see it. Clem winning this tournament would be absolutely amazing for him. He's been trying for many, many years. Dark winning this tournament would be really nice for Dark's bank account, of course. But Dark has already won many, many tournaments in the past. People always like an underdog story. And Dark would certainly prefer winning this if he can. But now he has to win 3 games in a row against Clem. And so far, Clem has been controlling this very nicely. Another copy-pasta? Oh god, what's this? The other day, Cyril, Rainer, and Clem and I were taking a road trip through our home state of Mississippi. We stopped off to get some candy bars, and who did we see in the grocery store? Maru. He was sticking candy bars in his pockets, and when the cashier came over to confront him, he kept yawning and pretending he couldn't understand them. Then he winked. Then he winked at us. Who comes up with this stuff, man? It's so stupid. That's so funny. Then he winked at us after stealing candy bars. You know, I believe Dark actually recently joined, or maybe not recently, but I believe he joined the StarCraft 2 Millionaires Club, didn't he? He's got a lot of tournament earnings already, okay? He'll be fine. Nice little Zergling counterattack, though. Siege tank on the high ground, ready to shoot down his own SCVs. Oof, that was a pricey shot. 8 SCVs end up going down. Look at this guy, looking all proud with his 12 kills. Half of that being Terran units. Alright, ultimately though, despite all of this messiness for Dark in this game so far, he is gonna finish up 1-1 and bailing speed, it looks like. Oh. Well, that was weird. That guy already made his final prayers. Looks like the Lings apparently were needed over here at the bottom. Bailing speed finishing up in 2-1 now. And he's gonna need it really badly. Overstim right there by Clem. Never rapid fire your Stimpack, guys. Not what you want to do. Oh, pick up. Lovely. Sorry, Jimmy. The Hellion got saved, but not Jimmy over here. There was no room in the plane for Jimmy. The true Christmas story. They traveled all the way across the land. But there was no room in the medevac. So, you know, well, the ending for that story is a little different than the Christmas story, but it is what it is. Hive is gonna finish up here pretty soon. This is a quick Hive, actually, all things considered. I think Adrenal Glands would be an amazing upgrade. Yeah, I'm not really liking this position all too much, though, here for Dark. It's all a little shaky. Like, he's got a good economy at this point-ish. The one thing I really don't like here for Clem is his upgrades. So this happens from Bronze League all the way until Clem, apparently, where the armory is late, and therefore the 2-2 upgrades are late. This is... I understand there's a million different things going on, right? There's a lot of balls that are being juggled. And I don't think it's happened to Clem earlier in this series. He's been very on point with it, but it really, really hurts against the good Zerg. So this was relatively late upgrades from Dark. And now he's ahead, upgrade-wise. Only by a very small margin, but still. Adrenal Glands, okay. Ultralisks, okay. That is a very quick Ultralisk cavern, though, considering the game that we're in. Interesting style here from Dark, going straight into essentially an Ultralisk rush with burrowed Banelings. Oh, he sees it! Oh, jeez. Alright, Clem. Well, he saw the ones on the right anyways. But relatively small group of Marines. Yeah, the problem is with, like, forgetting these upgrades, or at least delaying them, is that it really takes the wind out of your sails, you know? When you're going for a big timing-focused strategy, and you're trying to hit your opponent in the face repeatedly, a little slap here, a little slap there, right? You keep punching him. If you fall behind in the upgrades, it just... yeah, it really takes the wind out of the sails. I think that's the best analogy you can make. It just slows down everything. Suddenly you start coasting, and it's just not ideal. I'm just pretending that I know how boats work. I know exactly how boats work, okay? I'm from the Netherlands. This is what we did, historically. I don't, but still. Ooh, nice catch right here, actually, from Dark. Yeah, jumps on top of all of those siege tanks, and they're down the drain. Do we still have enough Banelings over here? Okay. Oh, he stands and targets them down. All right, Clem. 2 more? Counterplay right there by Dark, flying them away. That little sequence of events was just to make Clem look good, okay? Big push over here on the right side of the map too. Now Ultralisk number 1 is out. He doesn't have chitinous plating yet. He'll be much more powerful once that upgrade finishes up. Queen? Okay, good. Well, Brenda still ended up dying. There she goes. Kind of sad, eh? Anyhow. I don't think 1 Ultralisk is going to be enough, though. Yeah, we really need a little bit more. Here comes the entire Zerg army. Now suddenly, though, Clem is ready to put all of his eggs in one basket, it looks like. That's a big basket. He's got a lot of units now on the right side of the map. That being said, is this the right choice? Yeah. Dark finally starting to make some headway in these fights. +2/+2 done for all players. Okay. Drop over here at the bottom. Drones, hello. Lads, where you going? Okay. I don't think you guys are supposed to be on that control group. Command center ends up going down, though. What are we... Dark, bring the drones back. They're definitely not supposed... okay, there we go. They're definitely not supposed to go onto that control group. He's gonna be bringing them back home. Ultra suddenly break into that expansion, though. Lovely work right here by the South Korean Zerg player. 16 SCVs go down. But now the Liberator numbers are growing. And Liberators are really good against Ultralisks. A Medevac and a Liberator being produced at once. Is that even legal? Can you make... like, you can. Yes, you can make 2 different units out of a starport with a reactor on it. But should that be allowed? I guess we'll allow it. It's a bit weird to see, though. Okay. Big push over here. Expansion actually dies. That's really rough here, actually, for Dark, who already doesn't have that much mining. In the meantime, Liberator over here going to town. Liberator over at the 3rd base also going to town. Clem piling on the kills. Ultra here running in to try and defend against a Liberator. Okay. Queen over here, apparently a little too far off. Right now we're hoping, I guess, as Dark for lucky Baneling hits, but instead... the units get baited into the Widow Mines, and there it is. It's Clem who wins the StarCraft 2 Masters Winter Tournament 4-1 over Dark in the Grand Finals.